People, deluded. Good morning, good Monday morning to you lot, wherever you are, whoever you are. If you're commuting to work, if you're watching this after your studies, whatever you're doing, I hope you're all well and blessed people, Arsenal fans or football fans in general, because I know a lot of you non-Arsenal fans support my team and watch my team and stuff, man. Thank you very much for that. Now, Brazil obviously won the Copa America without Neymar. Very impressive. Shout out to Dani Alves, best modern day fullback. You lot know I'm a big fan of Brazil, and Dani Alves. A shout out to them for their win against Peru in the final. Why that has any relevance to Arsenal? Because of Mr. Edu Gaspar, former player of Arsenal, soon to be director of football, if not word for word, entering that sort of position. And for me, of course, they don't correlate, but I hope to see a bit more movement in regards to incomings and outgoings at the club. Now, I say that people, you lot know the squad we have, the wage problems, and all of these sort of things. We didn't get here into a season. We've been here through collective bad decision making. So I can't speak for everyone. We know in an ideal world, there's a lot of names you would like to get out the door, but I would just like, for me, from a tactical point of view, I'd like to see Emery trying to improve us defensively. I don't expect us to be all the way there yet in pre-season, but making positive steps to get. And the same goes for the transfer window. I'm not expecting all of these players to go, the ones that I believe you can't move forward with, but I'd like to see some progress in regards to moving players out. If you can't get them out permanently, loaning players out. Of course, I'd like to see people brought in because it just seems like we allegedly are in negotiations for time, and then there's some like delay with the Kieran Tierney business. The longer this sort of stuff goes on, the longer you don't sign a man. Now, of course, it could just be a case of dotting I's and crossing T's. I'm just a football fan. I don't know how close or how far the deal for Turney or Saliba or Zaha or this guy is or Malcolm, whoever we're linked with is. But I'd just like to see some progress. Now, like you saw reports, you heard Eddie was collaborating with Unai Emery and people behind the scenes in regards to, I assume, targets, incomings and outgoings and all of these sort of things. Now, we're playing catch up already. We've got just over a month of the before the season starts on the 11th of August. Like I said, I would like to see us improve mainly defensively. I'm not expecting us to be able to defend and keep clean sheets for 10 games on the trot straight away, but we need to make movements in regards to improving defensively. And I'd like to see us get a move on in regards to bringing players in. If worse comes to worse, if we cannot walk out of this window with a left back and a centre half, there's issues. I do have a lot of sympathy for the for the outgoings, because on one hand, people behind the scenes have to earn their stripes now and move people on and things like that. But it's a difficult one, because if you look at someone like Mesut Ozil, I mean, I'm not defending or saying a man should go, but if I look at it, he's got a year left. He's got no real reason to leave from an Arsenal perspective. If we just look at it, people, he's got no real reason to leave. He's comfortable in London. Yeah, he's talked about Fenerbahce allegedly, and there's the Fenerbahce links. Whether they can afford that loan is a different thing, or him permanently. I know his girlfriend wants him to play or his wife, better yet, allegedly wants him to play in Turkey at some point. But he's comfortable in London. He's got the Adidas thing. He's got a big deal. You've got players like Mkhitaryan by the same logic. You've got Mustafi by the same logic. These lot are comfortable. From a selfish point of view, these players, unless they're forced out, unless they really want to go and play football, them three players there, they're on healthy contracts for over a year. It's in their interest, regardless, to not move. But they can move, and it is in their interest to move. But by the same logic, there is no rush. They're on big money. They can see it out until 2021. Worst case scenario for Arsenal, if we cannot find buyers, which appears to be the case, these contracts will run out and you'd have to bite the bullet. Mkhitaryan came for free, but that is a proven an outlay in terms of his wages and things. That's proven quite a costly outlay. And whether it was Mislintat, Wenger or whoever, someone has to answer for that one, because Mkhitaryan's a decent player, but considering his age and his stature of player, was it the best decision? Mustafi, we all know he came here with a lot of excitement, just simply hasn't hit the heights, and his contract is running out. Mesut Ozil, you lot know his thing. And also, it's not just them. You look at the Jenkinsons, you look at Koscielny, who, latest thing I'm seeing now is apparently his wage demands are putting out board though. So there's him. I would have liked to have seen the couple outgoings. I would have liked to have seen a decision over Koscielny and Monreal, because I just feel, as Arsenal fans, of course, we're not on the board and things, and private conversations are private conversations, but it just feels, as Arsenal fans, when players' contracts are running out or there's uncertainty over their future, things are not decided quickly. I personally believe the club has to start being harsh, man, because if you look at the stories of Ramsey, of Alexis, etc., Oxlade, regardless of if they were better, then they could do better than playing for Arsenal or not. Their contracts are running out. Give them a deadline for the decision. I firmly believe by now, if they don't already, you should know Koscielny and Monreal's intentions. You should be last season. You should be in kind of informal talks and seeing where their minds at, what they'd like to do. Off season, you give them a little bit of rest, but just before pre-season or so start, surely we should know what these men want to do. If you don't want to be here, of course, this is the nature of the game. Players come and go. If you don't want to be here, keep it moving. Because as Monreal and Koscielny, they're probably two of our best members of the defence. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, considering where they are as footballers now. But if they want to keep it moving, let's bring some young players and keep it moving. There's going to be a lot of decisions. At the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is come the start of the season against Newcastle, who we've brought in, and how we're looking as a side. Like I said, pre-season is too short of a time to improve defensively, improve offensively, because I feel we're not taking as much shots and we're very predictable. So there's a lot to improve offensively as much as I bang on defensively. But it's not enough time. But I'd like to see some progress in that department, because you're seeing it. We've got players to go to leave. We've got question marks over members of the defence, whether they're injured or uncertainty over their futures. The one player we apparently, based on reports, appear to be close to in Saliba is going to stay at St Etienne for a year. That's great that we've signed the centre-half, but he's not going to be playing for a year here. So by that logic, how is the defence going to improve? If you want to give young players chances, then cool. But there's going to be question marks. Even on Unai Emery, I know Unai Emery is not in charge of transfers, and I know his hands are tied and things. But for instance, if we don't improve defensively, the question marks are there, like really and truly, people, because coaching is a big part of this role. I feel people behind the scenes have to earn their stripes and stuff like that, because like I said, people, there's no hiding place with the whole Wenger and Glazides and all of these people leaving. There's no hiding place. There's no. Because some people it's all Wenger, or some people it's all Glazides, or it's all Kroenke, or it's all this, and some of it is true. It's not true. It's not wrong, people. It's not true, if that makes sense. But there's half truths in everything. Let's be honest. It's never just, people can make mistakes at this club, but it's never, we can't just blame one person. Obviously, in regards to mismanagement, underachieving and stuff like that, the constant theme is the owner, and the owner sets the standard of sorts. Okay, maybe not now, but Abramovich, I got it wrong, but he was at the Europa League final. He actively cares about Chelsea, and going back to 2004 and all of them things, you lot know he was very active in that. Kroenke might very well be interested in Arsenal, but he hasn't shown it. I know his son can be at games and they can say this and the occasional FA Cup final, but seeing is believing, people, and really and truly, we're here not by accident from years of mismanagement in many several departments, and it is depressing because you're seeing, no disrespect to Tyrone Mings, he's a decent defender, but Bournemouth are selling him for 25 million after buying him for 8. Do you get it? We're not doing no deals like that. West Ham are spending 50 million on that Gomez youth from Celta Vigo, allegedly. They've got them funds. We know we have money, but what's gone wrong here? It's time for everyone to earn their stripes. In theory, now that Edu's come and we're playing catch up, you'd like to think if targets haven't already been decided, we can see some acceleration in that. One thing I do hope, though, is that because we're seeing Saliba, Tierney and Zaha specifically, people, again, I'm very pessimistic about any of them signing. To be honest, the two defensive signings would be great. Typically, you see in Arsenal's cases, is a long drawn out, are we going to get him, are we not? Then there's a deafening silence, people. And sometimes you see us get the negotiations wrong or things go wrong. I really hope, and I assume there's plan Bs, plan Cs and stuff like that, because I look at Raul Sanllehi, did he not say in that YouTube interview he's speaking to players and players are interested and whatnot? I ain't seen no players sign for this club, and the players I'm seeing, no disrespect to Fraser, but if Fraser was the player you was talking about, again, we can't sign quality top individuals, people, but if Fraser was the person you was talking about, then you're in trouble. Fraser, for me, is probably a plan B, plan C, maybe even a plan D signing. That's no disrespect to him. He is a good player, but it just seems that there's a lack of clear guidance beyond the fact that we want young players with potential. It just seems there's a clear lack of emphasis on the specific type of player we'd like to go for, the specific sort of target, because really and truly, we know Premier League football is a Zang, people. We know Zaha is not worth 80 million as great as he is. But if we're getting to that, if we're going to really find money for that, what does that say about our scouting? Now, again, I've got no problems with Zaha. But if we're Arsenal Football Club and we ain't really got, even if we do have more of a budget than what reports say and we really need to save money, surely it should be a case of scouts doing their jobs. Again, people, I'm not. You don't know me. I talk about little players I watch here and there and things, but that's not my job. I don't have access to what we scout and all of these softwares and things that these men do. That's their job. They are paid to watch football all day or look at players. So you telling me you can't find scouts can't find their job, can't do their job of finding players, people. Of course, if you sign someone from the other side of the world and he's not really known, people are gonna be like, why are you signing him? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But every player was that before, and 9 times out of 10, if that player comes in, they're consistent and competent, ultimately doing their job, fans will shut up. Fans don't. Obviously, people. I would love Neymar and Mbappe and Messi, and we all want stars and the best players at our teams. But them things there don't happen. So I'm sure most fans at the very base of it just want competency and consistency. So for me, I have to wonder, like, if we know the Premier League is a zang, we can't afford a lot of these players, and a lot of these players were held to ransom, not just us, a lot of players. But if we're really going for the Frasers and Zahas, what does that say about our scouting or possible recruitment and things like that? You've also heard Malcolm's been put forward to us as well. In short, people, come. The only things that are gonna matter for me is how our defensive options come August, how we line up in the season defensively, have we improved in that aspect? Because you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and I hope there's a plan, but I'm not really seeing nothing to suggest next season is gonna change, people. Again, pre-season is a different thing, and I'm gonna be looking at from Unai Emery. I'm not really judging Unai Emery on the transfers because he's not really in charge of them things there, to a degree. I'm judging him really on how he coaches, how he implements defensively, and I'm really judging the people behind the scenes on what they do, because Arsenal continuously talk a good game. We have spoke a good game. Seeing is believing. I think I speak for most rational fans when I say you're not expecting fireworks. You're not expecting 10, 11 players to go out of the team. Whether you wanted to or not, it's not realistic if you remove your information, your emotions, and just look at the information presented. I'm sure most fans prepared to accept that. I'm sure most fans just want to accept players that can't move. A good 3 to 5 players that can't do their thing here. Be moved on. Bring certain players that can develop us to develop the squad so we can move forward. Ultimately, give Unai Emery a side specific for me, the back five in particular, something to work with, a coachable team, a team that's able to listen to what a man wants to implement. Ultimately, these players away from Arsenal Football Club or Unai Emery, they're able to deal with pressure. They have pride in the shirt for themselves. They stand up to be counted. Because if he's given that and he's allowed to coach, then we can do something all right. Or if it's a thing where the back room are doing their job, what can you say for Unai Emery? You'd have no leg to stand on, and vice versa. It's going to be a tough season. I'm not expecting fireworks. Of course, I'm not saying everything. I'm panicking because everything's not done now. You look at a lot of teams. How many teams are really clearing out players? We're going to see some movements as we get closer to August and July. Moving on with the dates and stuff. So I do want to see some acceleration, but it is concerning that you haven't. Obviously, you've seen a couple loan departures in Osei Tutu and Ballard, but you ain't seen no one really leave the club. No disrespect to any of these players, but Mesut Ozil, regardless of my opinion on him, Mkhitaryan, Mustafi, El Nene, Carl Jenkinson, Matt Macy's gonna have to catch it straight because he's not. It's deep, but he's not involved. But Matt Macy, a lot of players that can't be relied upon are still at this club. Like I said earlier, it's a tough gig. Some of these players are comfortable in their contracts, have no decision to make, have no decision to leave, and have a lack of suitors, or teams that might even have the slightest interest financially don't want to be involved. We know the problems we find ourselves, but seeing is believing. Ultimately, all that is going to matter is when the season finishes, what players that we have available and how we have looked in pre-season in terms of defensively. Can't read too much into that. All that is going to matter is come this time next year, are we in the top 4 or not, in which question marks have to be answered, and nothing's on accident. If you sign, nothing's by accident, sorry. If you don't sign the centre-half and you rely on these same guys again, they're going to let you down again, and we're going to see what happens again. Of course, a miracle. Coaching's a big part of it. Obviously, I have small hope that some of these players could be coachable and improved and things, but that's wishing on a lot. I believe a lot of these players you can't rely upon, and if you rely upon them, whose fault is it really and truly? Like, it gets past a point where, for me anyways, you blame the players as poor as some of these players are. If we're continuously playing them, they're continuously put in these environments where time and time again they're going to let us down. Can I really keep getting annoyed at the players? Like I said, it's going to take a while to clean up these wages and stuff, because we're here from years of mismanagement, years of even Koscielny's case. I don't feel Koscielny should have been given a new deal until 2020 when Coquelin and Thingy did. Now look at the mess. You're hearing he wants to leave. You're hearing he wants this, he wants that, we want to do this, we want to do that. Like, I just relish the day where I can just look at Arsenal, at my club that I love, and just think about the match people, not players wanting to stay, players wanting to leave, bust up with managers, contract staff, all of these sort of things. I just want to purely deal on the footballing basis, but it is what it is, man. On that note, I'm going to keep it moving. People, Deluded, thank you for watching and rocking.